right, folks, I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 3:30 and we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, fresh. There we go. Perfect. All right. Did you have a chance? One note. I just want to make a clarification. At the beginning of the last meeting, we approved minutes from the September 17th meeting that were both from the regular meeting and for the non-public meeting, and those were non-sealed minutes. So I just want to make sure that was a clarification there. We had approved both sets of minutes.
Yeah.
And then on the October 1st minutes, that was for the public hearing for the fire station. Any comments, questions, changes on that?
No.
I think it was close enough.
All right, close enough. A motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the public hearing meetings of October 1st, 2024.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Betsy, for capturing that. You. And from the October 8th regular select board meeting, any questions or changes, comments on that?
No.
There you go. I will make a motion to approve the minutes for the October 8th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. There we go. Okay.
One more.
All right, so we have, Mike, say your last name, Dufillo? Dufillo. Mike Dufillo has sent some really amazing pictures of the horrific shape that the dugout is in down on the ball, for the ball field. So this is used for it had been used in the past for storage for sports equipment for the kids and the school, and it's in really bad disrepair. Did you guys happen to see the pictures that were sent in?
Okay.
So the question is, what are we going to do about it? We do own the property, and so we are theoretically responsible for repairing it, I guess, but I'm wondering if there's suggestions on what is actually needed. So Mike, give us some insight onto what is actually needed there and what your recommendations would be.
Sure, thank you. I didn't know if I need to wait for public comments or not.
Nope.
So it has been in disrepair for probably a couple of years, and I just want to be upfront that no one's upset. We're not like, oh, how dare the town not. I just think it was a matter of no one knowing.
Yeah.
And one of those things where we have a bunch of volunteers, everyone kind of thinks maybe someone else is the one who's doing this. So currently the sink is there. Maybe I don't know. A number of years ago, they put that partition in, so there's a toilet on one side, and that's in some pretty bad repair overall.
Yeah.
And then the sink on the other side has been smashed, so there's broken ceramic all over the floor. A lot of just grime. It's very musty and moldy inside, and a lot of the sports equipment just probably needs to be taken out and thrown away, especially some of the anything like there's like gloves and things like that.
Yeah, you'd want to put a catcher's mask on, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, the nets are probably in a space where they just need to be pitched. And so the hope is I was talking to Aaron Messer, the principal of the school, and I also brought it up on the Conservation Commission, as we talked about it a little bit there, like that sort of thing. And I think the general hope on our end is that if we could get the dugout thoroughly cleaned, sanitized, and really we're very grateful that the porta potty is down there, and that's what gets the use.
Yeah.
So from our point of view, my point of view, I think you could completely remove that toilet, because having a toilet in there just means someone has to clean it and keep it up. And so if that toilet is totally taken out, the partitions removed, and that just becomes more storage, that would be great. And then on the other side, it would be really nice to have potable water down there. Just makes things easy. Right now, the school, we're storing everything at the school and having to kind of haul everything out. So big water barrels and things like that. So if there could be potable water there, so I don't know, a utility sink would probably be preferable over a spigot, because if you have a spigot, you're gonna get water everywhere.
Right.
And that might make the problem worse with mildew. So that's kind of what we were thinking, just remove the toilet, maybe change that sink to a big utility sink, more of just kind of a catch-all so you're not making a mess. And then that water probably, I don't know if that's on the regular schedule for testing, but that water would probably just need to be tested as it's public water. And then really that's it. Oh, and then I don't, this is just me guessing, but I'm guessing that damage was done because people know the code. It's like not really a secret,
Right.
so having the code changed. It is well known among many adults and youth in town.
Yeah, is the door intact? Is there anything structurally that, other than the toilet and sink?
The structure, I mean, the whole thing,
Just needs to be cleaned?
95% of it is solid concrete, so
Right.
everything seems fine. The front door seems fine, the lock seems fine.
And probably the mildew is there because of the water from the toilets and the sink and everything.
That would be my guess. You know, if it had to switch and you had to put a spigot on the outside, I guess you could do that. If you were worried about mildew, you know, you could stick the water coming out the other side. But, and again, it's not the end of the world if we don't have water down there. Like, that's what we're dealing with right now.
If we already have plumbing though, it might be.
But you have plumbing there, so it would be nice just to have like a big utility sink to fill up.
Is this the start of your conversation, or have you got any cost estimates on anything, or do you?
No, this was, we just kind of opened up the soccer, opened it up to start the season.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, this thing's still kind of a mess. We should take the first steps. And, because we didn't even know who owned it to begin with.
Right.
So I have not priced out anything. I haven't looked into anything. I thought step one was finding out who owns it and if the town would be amenable to fixing it up.
Great. Bob?
Yeah, first, thanks for sending the pictures and taking the time to communicate. It looked, so is that the soccer goal in there and some netting or?
There is some of the smaller pug nets are in there.
Oh, that's
there
what
is
those
like a
are.
bounce back net, like a big
Yeah.
bounce back net.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other things. I don't investigate too thoroughly.
Yeah, right.
Like there's like some piles of things that I haven't
Yeah.
I haven't gone through.
It didn't, from the pictures, it didn't look like there was tons of mildew.
No, I don't. I think it's mostly just like a smell. I think it's really just very musty.
Yeah, okay.
I did look today. I stopped. I just looked and I did not see any evidence of like mold, of
Okay.
like obvious mold.
Okay.
How about on the like leather gloves? Is that stuff, I mean, it's not usable anymore, so what's the point? But I don't even know who would own those. Were they owned by the school and that, or who knows?
I don't know. I can ask if it's the only one who might know at the school. I'm trying to think. Maybe Susan. Susan's been there a while.
Yeah.
I think who else would know?
Yeah,
Maybe Miss Grove's been there. I can ask her.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they would even know.
not that it matters,
Who
but
owns it?
Right.
yeah, I'd say totally in favor, obviously, of pitching everything that's
Yeah.
got no business down there. And I guess there's no great loss if the bathroom sink that's down there
I
needed
think
to come out for a pot sink anyway. My first question was, why even bother bringing water in?
Yeah.
And to be frank about it, it's been plumbed for a long time, and when water goes down that drain, it goes somewhere. So, but your logic about a pot sink makes sense, and if it's gray water going somewhere, then I guess to a degree, for the use it will get, it's not going to be an issue. But I mean, that's been an open question for a while.
Yeah, and I think that right now we're currently bringing water, and we have the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So I think if the town were to decide no water, I don't think we wouldn't show up with. I don't think anyone's going to show up with pitchfork. But if there was water, then that would be great.
Well, I don't want to be, penny wise and pound foolish. It's plumbed right now.
Right. I think what I'd like to do to, and do you have any comments?
No.
I think what I'd like to do is say, let's find out what the cost is going to be, or if there are volunteers from either the school, the Conservation Commission, any of the sports clubs or whatever that can help clean it out, and then find out how much it is to put in the utility sink, and what kind of maintenance that would cost as well. Like, do we need to shut off the pipes in the winter to make sure it doesn't, blow the pipes or leak or anything like that? So, is that something you want to do, or you want us to take that on? Either way is fine. We can.
I think maybe if you wanted to take that on, and
That's what I'm asking.
I'm and if that just means emailing Ben, and then at my next Conservation Commission meeting, that's what we're doing. That's great. But I think it maybe has a little more power and a little more meaning if it comes from the select board than if it's just me saying,
Yeah.
hey, does anyone want to do this?
I know, I appreciate that. So we will do a little bit more investigating with, maybe Gary can help out on the grounds part, because I know they mow. Maybe he can give us a little bit of information on what to do there or some history on it. And we'll get together some plans and what we think. We'll ask some questions of the school. So either Erin and who coordinates sporting events through the school? Is that through you and the school?
Who coordinates the sporting event? Probably, Kathy Bowie is the after-school enrichment coordinator right now. So perhaps Kathy Bowie, and then Susan Ross Parent is always a great person to include. She's probably not like that to say that, but she's always a good person to CC.
I know, she's very knowledgeable there. So, all right, well, let us rally the troops and find out what we can do to make this better, and at least make it, if nothing else, sooner rather than later, cleaning it out so it's safe for the equipment to be put back in there, or have equipment put in there so it's not at risk of being rotted or anything. And then we'll look at changing the code as well. Those are kind of two important things that we could probably fix right away.
Thank you. Can I just say thank you very much. I appreciate how quickly you guys put this on the agenda. So thank you very much.
Well, it's a neat spot too. There's so much activity down there. I think there's also an adult softball league down there now, so it's a really cool spot, and it would be nice to have a nice facility down there and not have it all wrecked. So thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. Anything else?
No, it sounds like we've got
all right,
next
that's
steps.
a to-do list. Yep. Okay, there's something big here on there. Whitney's Black Mountain Fire Pond.
Hello.
I love having people in the audience. It's a wonderful thing.
Careful what you ask for.
So, Eric Mogensen, nice to see you. Welcome to our town. And just for those that don't know, and also we record the minutes, you are the new representative and owner of Black Mountain, and part of the CEO of Entabeni, and Indy Pass, I guess, jointly. So I really am thrilled that you're having this initiative to bring Black Mountain to the town, and hopefully in the next few years we'll have a lot of big changes for the mountain itself. So thanks for being here. And Mark, thank you also for being here. I haven't met you yet, so it's very nice to meet you. Mark LaHood, who owns 3 amazing inns in town here, and really helps helps get people to appreciate our town, so I appreciate that. The subject, though, today is the fire pond that is partly, I guess it's used as a town fire pond. It's also used for Whitney's and shovel handle for certain purposes, and then it's also used for snowmaking on Black Mountain. And the wish now is that we would dredge the pond, and the purpose of that would be mostly for snowmaking. It needs to be dredged because it hasn't been done in 9 or 10 years, I believe. So that's what is bringing all of us to the table. Mark, do you want to talk first then on your wishes and wants?
Regardless of, first of all, thank you for taking the time. Obviously, I'm very heavily invested in the town of Jackson. In it, Thornhill being the first investment, then Christmas Farm Inn, and now the Inn at Whitney's. We are spending a significant amount of money at Whitney's. So whether you realized it or not, over time, the previous ownership had neglected Whitney's a little bit. And if you've driven by in the last 6 months, you're seeing what a significant investment we're making. Just recently, on August 23rd, we had the unfortunate experience of having a fire at the Inn at Thornhill. And Jay and his crew came up, it was midnight on August 23rd, and they worked tirelessly, and they put out the fire. And I have over $2 million worth of damage in that building. I'm only partially open, and I'm hoping to make New Year's Eve to reopen, and that's gonna be a stretch. So now I have Whitney's that we're spending a significant amount of money remodeling and bringing back to life. And thankfully, Black Mountain has come along and will help that cause to make Whitney's a successful endeavor. But that building's even older than Thornhill, obviously. It's 200 years old, plus the shovel handle pond in itself. So a fire pond in itself, forget about making snow at Black Mountain, forget about we put a paddle boat on it, doesn't make me a lot of money, we put a paddle boat on it, because it's a little recreation. Having a viable fire pond, God forbid should something happen to Whitney's or shovel handle pond, is extremely important to us.
Okay.
Yes, obviously, there's a benefit to having enough water to make snow. There's a benefit to having a little recreation area. But first and foremost, 9 years is much too long to let that pond continue to shrink and shrink and shrink in size. And I'm concerned that it's not going to have sufficient water to put out a fire should we have one. Especially when we start drawing water to start making snow.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I'll add to Mark's.
Oh, I'm just gonna set the rules ahead
Yes,
of time,
please.
just so you
Oh.
know that I would like to make sure I call on you and make sure that Marcus said his piece. But you are, I was right there with you, so
Well,
go ahead.
I'll wait.
Nope.
I'll defer. Okay.
You're all set,
You know,
thanks.
and I'll add on Mark's point, look, there's significant investment. And I think if you look at, you add up Black Mountain and Mark's 3 Ms, I mean, that's a pretty substantial investment into the town, millions and millions of dollars. We have enough water to make snow, it's not really a snowmaking concern. In the past, we've sent a bagger down to check the intake, that's happened in the past, it's good to go, we can certainly do that again. I don't think that's an issue. But fire is a huge issue, for sure. And it isn't about necessarily, you know, we deal with a lot of fire in the Mountain West, and it's about when you can put the fire out, how quickly you can put it out. And so if we're in a scenario where it's pre-Christmas or right around Christmas and we've taken a lot of water, you know, that we're entitled to make snow, and there's something that happens at Shovel Handle or something that happens at Black Mountain, and there isn't enough water in that pond because it hasn't been dredged for 10 years, that's a big issue. And, you know, our lodge is a little bit further away. I believe the condos also use it for water as well, just below there. I believe that's their water source for fire. So there's arguably millions and millions and millions of dollars of real estate that depend on that pond for fire suppression. And it isn't just the pond, it's also the intake. The intake needs to be redredged and what have you. And there's a couple things that need to happen there. And that's important because as we draw down, getting that pond back up quickly and having it available as a fire source is important. So we looked at the project. I think it's something that we potentially could handle in-house, but I just don't think we quite have the time to do those things. We went out to a subcontractor, a couple different people, we got a quote looking right around $50,000 to dredge the pond. And we kind of thought our cost would be in that 25 to 30 range, to be honest, by the time we put everything into it and did everything. So that's taking the spoils out of the pond, trucking them into Black Mountain parking lot, which we're happy to, you know, make available, letting those spoils drain, and then getting it to a more kind of manageable material, loading it and trucking it offsite. So we certainly have those quotes, but I agree with Mark that primarily it's a fire concern. We're going back to our insurance company. The insurance that we inherited from John will end at the end of this year, and these are some pretty major considerations. And that property loss, that building insurance, right now sits at about 10% of operating revenue.
Are you, did you get more than one quote?
We're waiting on a second quote from Ellen Drew.
Okay.
Well, we did actually get a third quote, or we had a third quote, and he bid it at $1 million.
Oh, $1,050,000.
$1 million.
I was ignoring this.
Yeah, he didn't want the job.
Got you, yeah.
So
Let's jump on that.
yeah, $100,000 would have been, I don't want the job. But
Even
$1 million
funny,
was
yeah.
definitely
Okay.
something else. So we have a quote for $1 million, which makes this quote look really good.
Yeah, let's jump on that. Okay.
And, you know, most importantly, obviously we're in really good weather right now, but it's definitely something that we would like to get done because the pond is significantly full of sediment.
Right. So, question, are you looking for a cost share then on this?
Well, I think we would look for honestly, I mean, the town and fire suppression, I would generally expect that you guys would pick something up like this. And so that would be my initial ask for sure.
Mhm.
You know, I think it is a town fire pond that hasn't been maintained in almost a decade.
Mhm. Mark, are you looking for a cost share on this?
No, I would prefer the town pay for it in its entirety.
I'd prefer you pay for it. No, I'm
No,
kidding.
but-
I'm just kidding. I hear you. I
I'm
really
trying to
want,
protect our assets.
no, I agree. I wanted to just throw that out there
Yeah.
as a question for honesty purposes. $50,000, I know that's not something that we can decide on tonight because for the main source that our fire chief is on vacation out of the country. So I really do want to wait until he gets back. I don't think we need to wait for 3 weeks until our next select board meeting to have more conversation around this. I do appreciate that you came to the table with quotes. One quote, one not so quote. But I appreciate that because that's my next question is how much is this going to cost and what funds will we have available? So I think that Jay gets back next week.
Beginning of November? What's it? when is it?
Yeah, 27th.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, so
Next
the
week.
end of,
So I
middle of
spoke
next
with
week.
Jay
Yes.
and met with him at the pond. And he has done the work in the past, but it didn't sound as though it was something he wanted to take on this time.
Yeah, and that's something that I do want him to weigh in with us on what the town's capabilities are to not have to spend money. I mean, I appreciate the quote of 50,000, but is there anything that the town can do to reduce that cost and still have it done right and have it done
Okay.
to the, to make it, to get this done and not have to worry about it in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. So that's my biggest concern right now is making sure that Jay weighs in on this since he is the fire chief. Bob?
Yeah, and so I remember when that was done, and it seemed, I was on the board back then as well, and I believe there was some sort of a match arrangement that was made, and that's why having Jay here will be helpful, but it may actually be helpful as well to have our road agent here as well, because at the time, 9 years ago, Jay was a part-time fire chief and a full-time road agent, so I'm not sure which hat he was wearing when that arrangement was made. And so it may behoove us also to have Gary involved in the conversation, because ultimately, if it's something we're gonna do rather than farm out, A, time is short, and B, it will be the highway department's equipment more than likely
Right.
that will need to be involved in this. So I think all parties in the room at the same time is the solution approach that I would, advocate for. And I think that, yeah, we contributed manpower, and manpower is paid, but I don't believe we put out dollars beyond that. So, this podunky little town, I'm sure we can figure out a way to make all parties, and I think it's important that everybody's there, because then I don't want to hear, well, there is enough to put out a fire, but because you're using the snowmaking, blah, 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 we don't want to get into that. But I mean, there are more perspectives that need to be brought into the conversation than just the ones in this room. And I'm happy to, by the way, Frank and Barbara,
Yeah.
schedule a special meeting when people
agree.
are back so that this can happen sooner rather than later, because it's October 22nd.
Yeah.
And for all we know, the ground will be frozen by Thanksgiving. Not that it can't be done, but I mean, it's,
Right.
yeah.
Frank?
Yes, just one thing, just to leave with Jay, our chiefs, referred to the pond, okay, as a valuable and important resource. So right off the bat, we understand what this means to the mountain, to the town, for fire suppression, all of that, okay? 9 years ago, Bob, when you were on the board, I wasn't on the board then, Jim Langdon, who is on the road crew right now, he actually ran equipment
Yeah.
that was rented from Ellie Drew, I think it was, because you have to have some sort of extended claw to get into this thing. But you also have to drain the pond. It's a 5-6 day there's a bit of a process here, right? Well, I just, all right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I think, look, I'll just stop at that and just say it's a bit of a process, that 5 days, and he knows more about it probably than I do. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say that there's a timing consideration, because in order for us to service air compressors and water pumps on the hill, which we're doing all of our pressure testing on, we need water in the pond,
Yeah,
because the air compressors are liquid cooled. So draining that pond and going through the 5-day exercise and having to refill is gonna basically take all snowmaking efforts offline, all testing offline, and all those things,
Yeah.
okay.
right?
And I appreciate knowing all those timetable things. So I agree with you, Bob. I think a special meeting would definitely,
And it-
because of time constraints, be worth it.
It seems like we put some work into that outlet too. I don't know what that's looking like now, a coffer or whatever the heck that is there. And so Jay would also be able to contribute to that conversation.
So what I'd like to do, since we have, unless you guys have more information to add, Julie, could you work together with these two folks and Gary, Jay, and us to schedule a meeting for when Jay gets back?
Yeah.
And everyone can be available. I think that's worth it. And yes,
I do have one more sort of question,
Oh,
right?
sure.
We are here, I mean, I wasn't here a decade ago, sounds like some people were.
yeah.
Why hasn't the pond been dredged? I mean, it's a major uncontestable
And I
fire source, why has it
agreed.
not been dredged continuously?
I don't have an answer, so we'll talk to.
I have
we'll
a
talk to
partial
this
answer,
one.
because
Oh,
there is another pond in the area, the Rick Davis's place,
Oh.
there's a pond there. But they weren't playing one pond after another.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, they got a lot of things going on all the time, okay, so they weren't specifically looking at your pond. But I do know that in the past, it's always been split 3 ways. So that's where we started with Black, Whitney's, and the town. And the town has used its equipment.
Resources.
We had a couple of trucks, we ran the equipment, all of that. So all of this is in the mix of what we're gonna do about this. $50,000.
Yeah.
that is
So-
a much, it's a
Yes.
much more difficult conversation if there's a fire loss. And we
Absolutely.
come back as to why this wasn't done and why it hasn't been done.
right.
And that's the conversation we'd like to get out of.
Right, that, and I just wanted, we think of that first and foremost, but we also think of budget and how much we can afford to spend without, I don't want this to have to go to a town meeting or a larger vote. So let's table this today, unless, if you guys have anything else you want to add to it through emails or whatever, through
Yeah.
Julie, but let's get a meeting on the calendar for like end of next week probably.
When
As
is it,
soon-
like the first, or?
Next week is, the Friday is November 1st, so we'll talk to him and get a meeting on the books whenever we can, as soon as he gets back, and just move from there.
Well, and Eric and I are doing some things that we hope are pretty spectacular for the town of Jackson. And my greens represent 87 guest rooms in the town.
Right,
And I have 30 acres or so on just inns and activities, bringing guests constantly.
right,
The revitalization and rebirth, so to speak, of Black Mountain just adds so much fuel to that fire. And
Agreed.
not using
No
the fire
pun.
Yeah, I agree.
That, we're trying to keep Jackson to be one of the cutest, most sought-after towns that, in all of New Hampshire. So we're doing our part, and we're just asking you to help us.
Yep,
So make sure we
Agreed.
don't lose that large investment that we have in the town.
agreed. I appreciate both of your input, and we will definitely be familiar with each other over the next few weeks to a
Yes.
month, and do it sooner rather than later before the weather changes,
Thank you.
so.
And I would
yes.
also just like to add that I believe that the track record of this town is supportive for the businesses here. And
Yeah.
we understand what the jewels are that we have in this town and how important it is to be supportive. And that question you asked is the perfect example of why we want all parties in the room. Why wasn't the pond dredged earlier?
Yeah.
I'm on a homeowners association pond in town. We've had Jay at our annual meeting before to say it doesn't need to be dredged, when we thought it was. So I would be, it wouldn't shock me if that was the answer. I don't know what best practices are for timeframes to dredge ponds, and so I'm not the appropriate one to say, well, it's being dredged as it should be, or it's not. So I wanted to get that on the record, because that needs to be entered into the meeting minutes as well. But we will certainly figure out when we can get everybody together, post with a 24-hour notice, make the meeting happen. That may mean some of us need to drop things on a short notice, but we'll get there because this is important and we're looking for results and we will work with you to get those.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yep, great. And again, thank you both for being here and taking the interest in the town mostly, so, great.
Okay.
All right.
You don't mind if you don't stay?
If you got nothing to
No,
do, you
no,
can
you're-
hang.
You gotta work the front
Thank you
desk,
so
right?
much.
Thanks. Hi, Ellen.
Hey,
All right, our next agenda item is trustees of the trust funds, funding and withdrawal. So we have, thank you, Julie, for taking care of that. The first is an authorization to transfer $65,000 to be deposited into the expendable trust fund and capital reserve funds as follows. Fire Department Maintenance ETF 0075 from Article 5, $50,000. Solar Energy CRF 0072, Article 4, $15,000. Motion to approve?
I will make that motion.
And
I'll
I'll, Go ahead.
second it, right?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's it, thank you. And then the next is the request for the following withdrawal from the trust funds, and that is for $115,200 from the Road Reconstruction Capital Reserve Fund 0064 for Central Asphalt Paving Company, invoice 3914. And that is for Eagle Mountain paving, the ball field, Carter Notch Road, and some trench patches at 7 different locations. So, busy crew.
I will
Motion
make
to-
that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go. All right, this one is for a current use application, and there are 3 different parcels, and Julie did a great job of explaining this to me, so I'm going to see if I can get this right. We have 3 separate requests for current use applications. The first one is for lot R160008A1, and that's being enrolled in current use for the first time. It is a 1.78 acre lot that is contiguous with R15001 and other parcels. And just so you both know, our town council has looked into all of these, so he had some comments on these, and he recommends that this is okay to approve. So I will make a motion to approve.
Town assessor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the town assessor, not the town council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Call. So I'll make a motion to approve lot R16008A1 for 1.78 acres.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the
Too many
second, and we're gonna
Jasons.
sign these, I know. We're gonna sign these at the end because there are 3 different places to sign for 2 different things, so. The second one is for an application for current use for R15001, which is a 20.7 acre lot, which includes Doublehead Drive, a shared driveway accessing R16018, 18A and 18B. Now, this application lists the entire parcel as enrolled in current use, but there's a driveway and utility corridor crossing the lot, and that does not qualify for current use. So Jason is recommending that we keep 1 acre in, 1 acre out of current use and 19.7 in current use versus the 20.2 total.
The undisturbed property.
So if that makes sense, I will hear a motion to approve the 19.7 acres in current use and 1 acre not in current use.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and this one, we are going to approve, and we're going to say that we're changing from 20.7 to 19.7 in current use. And then Jason will get the, or Julie or Jason will get the first page amended accordingly. 10/22. Print signature date. How am I doing, Julie? Did I get it right? Thank you. And print, sign, date. I'll start to watch you. That was fun. Okay, the third lot is for R30-016 or 016, which is known as the former Dame House site. And this site still contains a gravel parking area, semi-groomed lawn, and a bunch of stone statues, which does not qualify for current use. So they were asking for 114.28 acres to be in current use, but Jason is recommending that the 0.18 of an acre is not in current use. So I will make a motion, if that makes sense to you both.
Yeah,
I will make a
yes, it does.
motion to
Yeah,
put
sounds-
114.1 acres in current use and 0.18 not in current use.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was there a second?
You second?
I made the motion and you
Yeah,
seconded.
Oh,
you did it, so we
Okay, gotcha.
All in favor, yes. All right. There you go. And this is all managed by Perceptual Valley Land Trust. Thank you. These are not my sign here, those are my little notes. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
All right. Next on the list. Documents, okay, good. So this is a vet tax credit for the Howe Family Revocable Trust. And this is just a resubmission with all of the appropriate paperwork for Andrew Howe. So I will make a motion to approve the vet credit for V03 Lot 38.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Print, sign, and I didn't sign, I just printed and dated.
Mhm.
That was good in this one. Thank you. Sign,
Print and
name,
sign.
sign, all that. Thank you. All right, next is a donation that was received for $100 to the for charitable contributions for training for septic designers. And this was made out to the town of Jackson for the fire department. So
Oh,
I will take a motion to accept this $100 made out to the fire department.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Where are we?
All in favor?
Okay.
All right.
Aye.
All right,
I know, I'm really confusing you, Frank. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Throwing you off
it's
there.
easy.
That's nice, unexpected money. There's nowhere to sign, this is just a motion to accept. Okay. All right, anything to update on the fire station?
No, the last update was
Got
after
it.
the hearing, and they're still out getting all their
Working the numbers.
numbers in order, yep.
Awesome. All right, short-term rentals, this is for Gamache at 13 Retreat Way, map V10, lot 36A. And this advertisement had to be changed, and was that what the holdup was on this one? Or is it just a brand new
No,
one?
that's a new one.
Oh, okay.
That's retreat,
I
right?
think everything's fine. Yeah.
Okay, yep, so everything is good to approve on this one. It's a 4-bedroom approved septic, and it's advertised for 4 bedrooms, sleeps 10 max. You're all set. So, motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve Gamache 13 Retreat Way, map V10, lot 36A, short-term rental.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Right, one signature on that. And then the second one is still the pending, waiting for the ad on the one, that is with the Wentworth. So we are still pending that one. All right, fire station, nothing, the short-term rentals. Kevin is not here today. We have to invite him to a meeting. He hasn't been with us in quite a while. He's been busy approving
Yeah.
building permits, my gosh. So there are quite a few,
And busy as a first
remodels
responder
and-
also.
Yeah, no kidding. So nothing, I'm sure if there were anything in question, he would have made a motion, made a note about it. So nothing to discuss on approved building permits. And there is one approved driveway permit for McNeil on Balsam Drive, V10, lot 124. Anyone have public comment? No? Okay. Our next meeting is actually the general election, Tuesday, November 5th, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Hope to see everyone there that's a registered voter. If you're not registered, you can still register. Can you register at the election?
October 18th, I think, is the last day.
So we're done.
I don't know.
Registration,
That,
so-
that's, yeah.
Well, we look forward to seeing everyone there throughout the day, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Whitney Center. And then our next select board meeting is Tuesday, November 12th at 3:30, and the meeting after that is November 26th at 3:30, and that will be the week of Thanksgiving. Crazy. I will, let's see, it is 4:13. I will make a motion to leave the public session to go into a non-public session according to RSA 91-A:3 to B.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Hank.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Oops, watch out, watch out, watch out. I just was kicking that out, I didn't hurt you.
Hi, Chief.
How are you?